So we'll head from here to the election of 1848. In the wake of the Mexican War and settling the disputed Oregon border, Polk kept a promise that he had made and did not seek a second term. He was the first president to do one term and leave willingly. So, the presidency was open. At the Democratic Convention, Lewis Cass emerged as the nominee. Lewis Cass was an embodiment of what had become the Democratic strategy for presidential success. Pick a pro-slavery Northerner. A pro-slavery Northerner. Someone who had a political track record of helping the South. Being pro-slavery, pro-South, but also critically a Northerner. This would allow, and had allowed, Democrats like this to use local political networks across the North and in the South to rely on a record of trusting this Northerner. So the Democrats have Lewis Cass. The Whigs got Zachary Taylor, the most successful, I think that's true, but also the most famous general from the Mexican War. You remember that the Whigs won the first time they won with William Henry Harrison. The Democrats mocked the Whigs for being unable to find any kind of candidate who was not a general. And in this cartoon over here, you see Zachary Taylor atop a pile of skulls. And the Democrats say this is the one qualification for a Whig president. Zachary Taylor was a Kentucky slave owner. So the Whigs balanced their ticket with Millard Fillmore of New York as their vice presidential nominee. So, we've got Lewis Cass for the Democrats, Zachary Taylor for the Whigs. I know what you're thinking. What about the Liberty Party? And it's a very good question. Thank you for asking it. There was no Liberty Party this time around. Instead, a new political party emerged. The Free Soil Party. The Free Soil Party took a firm position on the issue of slavery in the West. That was something that neither Lewis Cass nor Zachary Taylor wanted to do. They don't want to take a firm position on slavery in the West. If you do that one way or another, you start to break apart your political coalition. So in this cartoon, these two American citizens are trying to get Zachary Taylor to answer their questions about slavery in the West. And he's like, I can't tell you, I wrote a letter, read my letter. And the enslaved guy over here is saying, man, he's cunning. He won't answer any of their questions. The Free Soil Party got Martin Van Buren to be their nominee for president. And the Free Soil Party took a clear, transparent position. Let's ban slavery in all the territories of the West. All of it. It was, at its core, the same position as the Wilmot Proviso, which had failed at the beginning of the war. Right? So the Free Soil Party is, in a way, built around putting into law what the Wilmot Proviso had tried to do. Now, Van Buren here, who remember had been Jackson's campaign manager and then his vice president, the idea that he had shifted all the way to the Free Soil Party might be surprising. He also badly wanted to be president. But he had become increasingly anti-slavery over the years. I don't even know if that's quite right. He had become increasingly opposed to the way that Southern slaveholders seemed determined to spread slavery. He was not an abolitionist. He was opposed to slavery in the West. This cartoon has a hay bale labeled as the Wilmot Proviso, and hiding in it is Martin Van Buren. The Liberty Party decided to fold, close shop. And instead, the Liberty Party urged the people who had voted for their party to vote for the Free Soil Party instead. Now, again, the Free Soil Party is not an abolitionist party. You see, Van Buren does not want to go into the embrace of the black woman here. But the Liberty Party, who were the pragmatic, they considered themselves the pragmatic, practical abolitionists, they believed the best way to get more people to vote against slavery was to sort of lower your bar. So we're not calling for the end of slavery, we're calling for keeping it out of the West. Can we get more people to vote for that? And the answer was yeah. Yeah, you could get a lot more people to vote for that. First, Zachary Taylor wins. All right, so Zachary Taylor wins. The Whigs have their second president. The Free Soil Party, though, got almost 300,000 votes. 291,000 and change. That's 10% of all the popular votes. Now, how many of those popular votes for the Free Soil Party came in the South? Right, Shane, 0. They were all in the North. Check out this map. See those rusty, reddish counties? Those are counties where the Free Soil Party won, where the Free Soil Party got more votes than the Democrats or the Whigs. Because the Free Soil Party got no votes in the South to speak of, they got 15% of the popular vote, close to 15%, it's 14 and change. Close to 15% of the popular vote in the North. So, this new political party, which had come out of nowhere, was achieving rapid electoral success. And as always, people wondered, what does this mean for the future? Will this party be a flash in the pan? Sort of like the anti-Masonic party that came and went? Or is this new party here to stay? Before we get into Zachary Taylor's presidency in the year 1849, I wanted to make sure we spent just a few minutes with an important event in 1849, which has to do with Araminta Ross, who was born into slavery on Maryland's eastern shore in 1822. She suffered a traumatic brain injury as a teenager, which left her with headaches and fainting spells and kind of like narcolepsy, and also with visions. She escaped from slavery in 1849, made it to the North, and became Harriet Tubman, a name that she had actually already taken for herself while enslaved, but her enslavers didn't recognize what she called herself, so the runaway ad still identifies her, as you see here, as Minty, short for Araminta. She escaped from slavery in Maryland in 1849, made her way to the North, and then, unlike almost every other escaped slave, she went back. She went back to try to free family members and friends from the region in eastern Maryland. She made her first trip back in 1850. And, spoiler, she made a lot more trips in the years to come. (1849) was also the year of the gold rush. But that gold had been discovered in 1848. The initial discovery of gold in the riverbed happened on land owned by this guy named Sutter. So Sutter's Mill, here's a picture of Sutter's Mill. And that was January 1848. The guy who was working for Sutter and found the gold was terrible at keeping his mouth shut. And so the word started to spread. And by August, it was in the New York Herald, which is what you see over here. And I love this. I found this old copy of the New York Herald, and this is the page with the article. And when you zoom in, whoever had this copy of the newspaper actually marked the spot that says, where this guy giving a report on what's happening in California says, "I'm informed that a quantity of gold was found in the bed of a stream of Sacramento," and then moves on to other topics. But this person was like, that's interesting. Maybe I should consider going to California, which is what tens of thousands of people did in 1849. They became known as the 49ers. The mass migration to California. They came on wagons along the Oregon Trail and then diverting south down to California. They also came on steamships, going all the way down around South America to San Francisco. They also came from Mexico and from Central and South America. By the end of the year, people were coming from Europe. By 1850, immigrants were coming all the way from China. San Francisco and the area around it, the same was true for Sacramento, became boom towns that sprung up and created incredible opportunities to generate wealth. Because people were finding gold, and you could get them to pay all kinds of prices for a drink of whiskey, or hardware, or if you set up brothels. Everything had these wild price spikes because you were operating in a boomtown environment. This is San Francisco by 1850.